You know what happens when you gather a bunch of nerdy voice actors who love playing Dungeons & Dragons and pair that with one of the greatest dungeon masters of our current era? Well, you'd get the hit show Critical Role. It's a weekly episodic show every Thursday that's made over $9 billion. The story began 7 years ago, and I'm here to tell you how in that 7 years they made Dungeons & Dragons cool again. And this is where it all began, around this dinner table. This merry band of men and women all decided in unison to be a part of the Geek and Sundry D&D live show called Critical Role. At that time, their campaign was called The Shits, which is frankly a brilliant name, but however, branding is key, and they decided to change their campaign 1 to Vox Machina. And when Matt Mercer asks, would you be interested? Here's a wonderful response to it.
Yeah. So
Holy
I
shit.
want to make sure you guys would be interested in that kind of a thing.
Hell no. Hell no.
We would have to change the name from the Shits to something else.
Of course, Sam Riegel has one of the best questions, which is, do we have to change the name from The Shits? Which is a very good question to ask. But as always, branding is key, and Vox Machina's Campaign 1 has now resonated within the core Critical Role community and Dungeons & Dragons alike. And in the process of making Critical Role from this very dinner table all the way to the fantastic studio in Season 3, they've demonstrated they have skills in storytelling, they have slick production values, and they're all very charismatic in their own ways, and which has helped cast off the old Dungeons & Dragons stigma. And in doing so, they've not only created a profitable business, but they have rehabilitated the Dungeons & Dragons brand forever. So let's start at the beginning. What exactly is Critical Role? Critical Role is a show based within the richly crafted world of Exandria that is run by the unbelievably charismatic Matt Mercer, but behind that is a full-blown multimedia production company called Critical Role Productions LLC, run by Travis Willingham, Matt Mercer, and Mercer Ray. These three, among other talented staff behind the scenes, trust me, there's a lot of them, have crafted 3 incredible campaigns: Vox Machina, The Mighty Nine, and Bell's Hells, which is the current one in progress. And within this world, the incredibly talented Dungeon Master Matt Mercer weaves intricate stories for their 7 incredible players: Taliesin Jaffe, Sam Riegel, Laura Bailey, Ashley Johnson, Mercer Ray, Travis Willingham, Liam O'Brien, and you, the critters at home. And if you recognize any of these names, that's no accident. They've been in big shows such as Attack on Titan, where Matt Mercer plays Levi, and then you have Laura Bailey, who played Abby in The Last of Us Part 2, Liam O'Brien, who was Azura in, full enough, Azura's Wrath, the video game. And you want to know the crazy part? Is that these people are putting in hundreds of hours for entertainment, with Vox Machina sitting at 345 hours, The Mighty Nine at 450, and Bell's Hells at 100 hours in the first 35 episodes. So by the end of Bell's Hells, they're looking at over 1,000 hours of watch time, which is a ton of content to watch. But like every great Dungeon Master with an incredible team of players who are deeply invested in the game, they need a set. This is a show after all, and boy, does Critical Role have slick production value. Now, to say Critical Role has a critical set design from the get-go would be a lie, but they turned that back office in Geek and Sundry into a real Dungeon Master's lair, which can clearly be seen in episode 16, and then look at episode 20, and now look at episode 37. This is clear that they care about set design. And we all know that set design would not be saving a crappy show. However, Critical Role is amazing. We have a Dungeon Master that can say the word toothy more over and over again, and they put so much money into their production design. Just look at how the cast react to the new lighting in Season 3. It's just fantastic.
The oranges and purples beginning to take the blues that have been familiar up until now.
And just like that, Matt Mercer's captured my heart with one lighting trick. And do you know what else they captured my heart with? Their intros. And you may be wondering, how on earth did they go so quick in their production? How on earth did they start creating such incredible intros? Well, if you cherry pick the episodes from the last several years, you'll eventually notice that Critical Role really stepped up the game in 2018. This is when they split off from Geek and Sundry and created their own YouTube channel, and a new studio to boot. The reason for the split was to more fully take the reins of its creative direction.
Now, all of us here as part of the team have been working hard on the beginning stages of what the next chapter in this crazy endeavor is, and well, you know what? Let me show you. Friends, let me introduce you to Critical Role Land!
What?
And since the show was owned by its creators from the beginning, it was a smart production choice to split off from Geek and Sundry. It's undeniable that the production design works here and filled with passion and love that brings them all together and immerses the critters into the world. And as I said at the start, they have great storytelling, slick production design, and their own natural bards. But this is a business after all, and they need to make the money roll in. And they do because they have a strong monetization model. They make Dungeons & Dragons cool, with their incredible talent and beautiful set design, but all that's expensive. So one of their key success factors has to be monetizing the channel to fund their ambitions and passion and love for Dungeons & Dragons. And Critical Role knows their target audience really well, and they have no trouble at all getting people on their merch store. And according to SimilarWeb, Critical Role's merchandise store got close to 300k views in August alone. Due to these views, it's ranking at number 34 in under all RPG game websites in North America, and frankly, it is the #1 RPG merch store in North America, proving that critters love their merch. Speaking of critters, the Critical Role YouTube channel has over 1.7 million subscribers and is gaining another 4,000 per week according to their social blades. And at this speed, there's a very good chance Critical Role's YouTube channel will actually overtake its original parent company, Geek and Sundry, in the near future, which would be a mighty feat for a Critical Role to have. At that level of viewership, Critical Role is able to not just monetize through merchandise, but also advertising revenue as well. Ad revenue is seldom the most profitable way for content creators to make money on YouTube, other than sponsorships and things like that, but it's a solid supplement to the sale of physical merchandise, especially at the 1 million+ subscriber level. And as if all of that wasn't enough, Critical Role also works with Funko, McLaren Toys, and Penguin Random House. In other words, they have products all across the world from mass retail distribution companies, and that's going to make the money for the show. So you've got a pretty set, a great dungeon master, and a stunning cast. You've made Dungeons & Dragons pretty darn cool, but you know how to make it even cooler? You bring it to the mainstream. Now trust me, it makes sense, because you've got to get your audience who isn't into Dungeons & Dragons into Dungeons & Dragons, and that is very difficult. Marvel did it with their great films, but how did Critical Role do it with Dungeons & Dragons?
For as long as I can recall, I've quested for a hero of a different kind. From the humble beginnings at our mimosa-stained dinner table, now brings me to donning a crappy Halloween store cloak and venturing to the threshold of the Ed Sullivan Theater. Here, the hero I have searched for now awaits, ready for his own journey. Our hero, Stephen Colbert.
Late night TV still has a huge influence. Colbert's show was among the most watched TV in 2020 to 2021, and that was the 5th consecutive year at the top. He's a late night show host and is a massive nerd. He's been playing tabletop role-playing games since 1976, when Metamorphosis Alpha came out, so that predates Dungeons & Dragons, so you're pretty well aware that he's going to have good chemistry with Matt Mercer.
Corner of your peripheral.
I draw my sword.
You draw your sword and glance over just in time to see what looks to be a mass of black fur just leap out of the woods in your direction. You need to roll initiative for me, friend.
Oh!
Oh no!
2!
Add your
2 plus 4.
6.
6.
It catches you off guard and you try and swing wide, but find your body poof, battered to the side. You tumble. Poof.
3! Wait, this is going to be a brief adventure, friends.
In addition to benefiting from Stephen Colbert's star power, Critical Role has been working with a tiny little startup called Amazon. You know, it's not that big. With their help, they've been able to create Legends of Vox Machina, a gloriously animated and critically adored animated adaptation.
I'm sorry, who the hell are you?
Vox Machina, we fuck shit up.
This is not too dissimilar to what League of Legends did with Arcane, the TV show that has seen tremendous success. Between getting celebrity attention and working with one of the largest companies in existence on an animated show, Critical Role has truly broken into the mainstream without a doubt. All of this together, wrapped around neatly in a bow, is Matt Mercer. Matt Mercer is the bow upon this beautiful D&D presence, and he rolled a natural 20 in charisma and has created a cult of personality within the tabletop space. And because of its production value, the incredibly talented voice actors, how smooth the experience is, some people believe Critical Role is scripted, or at least partially scripted, and there is some plausibility to that when you consider there are 3 of them who play the game who are all creative directors in some way. And the show has existed for 7 years, so you would assume that maybe they've decided to just script everything that happens. But this is Critical Role. This is a well-organized narrative. This is a well-organized business. And this is thanks to those 3 people and all the people behind the scenes who are able to adapt at both planning ahead and improvising when the players derail them.
Who bestowed it on you?
I don't know if you would.
That is. What even the fuck? Oh no.
And it should be noted that players are very invested in the game and are capable of derailing because they are invested in doing fun things like stacking horses.
I wonder if we can stack our horses on top of each other if we summon them strategically.
It's clearly improvised. But what's also come out of this is Matt Mercer being a household name now of Dungeons & Dragons at this point, is that he's now have a own effect called the
Matt Mercer effect.
That's the Matt Mercer effect. The Matt Mercer effect.
The Mercer effect.
Bum, bum, bum.
And which is used to describe a phenomenon which players expect their dungeon masters to be super energetic and fully descriptive and fully immersed in the world they are creating, and maybe even do fun voices for each NPC. And that is not the case. People don't need all these things, and not everyone can do what Matt Mercer can do.
Is he good? Oh no. I sent him an episode of Critical Role to give him some inspiration. I think he may have taken it a little. Hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Curse of Strahd.
In other words, Matt Mercer is the face of Dungeons & Dragons right now, not just Critical Role. He's the face of an entire game that was published all the way back in 1974. He's like the Bruce Lee in martial arts movies, practically synonymous, I would say. But not unlike martial art movie fans, people who have gotten into Dungeons & Dragons from Critical Role often find themselves disillusioned when their dungeon masters aren't as good as Matt Mercer, or the experience isn't as polished. And that naivety comes from like when you watch a kung fu movie and thinking you can kick ass. It's obvious not everyone can be Matt Mercer. It's obvious not everyone's going to have the set design, the miniatures, all those great things. But this is Dungeons & Dragons. It's a role-playing game. It's about having fun, foremost, with your friends, your family. Just have fun. But, as you can see, it's clear that Critical Role was going to be a critical success. But there's another forced multiplier we need to talk about. And that was Critical Role was a perfect product market fit. And it's so simple. There was a clear target audience who always wanted something like this to exist. And Critical Role was the one to make it happen first. In other words, it's a perfect product market fit. But what exactly does that mean? Well, they were in a good market with a product that can satisfy the market, and it clearly worked. But there was another company that understood this too, called Roll20, which is a place to play tabletop RPGs online. The funny thing is that Critical Role started 3 years after Roll20 came out. So at this point, Roll20 has really started to pick up steam, which shows that people have wanted to get into D&D, and as Critical Role found a D&D show. But as every player and Dungeon Master knows, getting a gaming group is hard, and finding a schedule is even harder. So having an online place to play these games started a virtuous cycle of Critical Role. As they were making D&D cool, they subsequently got more people into D&D, which turned into members of Roll20. The business complemented each other perfectly, and as of today, Roll20 has over 8 million users. So if it wasn't going to be Critical Role, it was going to be someone else. It was just a matter of time. Lucky for us, Critical Role is about the best imaginable show that could have met this latent demand. So let's wrap this up. What has Critical Role taught us? Critical Role is a critical success in every way, shape, and form, and for good reasons. It is an exciting and engaging show with a stellar cast of voice actors and incredible dungeon masters, and they all have great charisma. They bring Dungeons & Dragons to life, and they brought it to the mainstream just like Marvel did with the Avengers. Their acting, storytelling, and production design make the show high quality and eternally fresh, as it's been going for 7 years. Their monetization model is smart, which helps them stay in business and making improvements. In doing this, Critical Role has gone beyond simply cashing on a niche. They have made an old game with a nerdy stigma feel cool again, and with their well-made show, unabashed enthusiasm, and commitment to making Dungeons & Dragons as accessible as possible, they have without a doubt made Dungeons & Dragons cool again. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, you can read the entire article on weirdmarketingtales.com, where we write about everything from wrestling to board games to horror movies to pop stars. There's always something new there. So please, take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you can see when a new video goes live.